This NASA scientist was arrested for locking himself to a Chase bank.
We've been trying to warn you guys for so many decades. We're heading towards a catastrophe, and we've been being ignored. The scientists in the world have been being ignored.
In 2001, CIA documents were declassified that finally told us about Operation Acoustic Kitty. In the 1960s, the CIA decided that cats should be used as spies. Yes, actually. The idea was that cats could easily go unnoticed in important conversations amongst, say, Soviet leaders, so why not have them record audio? So, the CIA created the Acoustic Kitty. A surgeon implanted a microphone inside of the cat's ear canal and a tiny radio transmitter at the base of its skull. They also managed to conceal an antenna in the cat's fur. This took them 5 years and $20 million. However, cats are known for doing their own thing, and this one was easily distracted. So after lots of training, they took the cat for an official test to make sure that it would do what it needed to do. Go to a park and eavesdrop on two men sitting on a bench and record their conversation. The cat was released, took a few steps, and was immediately hit by a taxi. And it was their only acoustic kitty. 5 years and $20 million. So the CIA concluded that while cats could be trained to go shorter distances, it was impractical for their longer missions, and they promptly abandoned the project after it was deemed a total failure.
Did you guys hear about that 7,000-year-old artifact that they found under this building in Miami? And that's the reason why they took that building down, because they knew the artifact's been under there, y'all. They're talking about this artifact is older than the pyramids in Egypt, y'all, and we already know this is the real Egypt. Check this out.
First of all, had to remove a pre-existing structure. And it was well known in the archaeological community that beneath that building there was likely to be some kind of archaeological material. How much, we didn't know until that building was removed. It very quickly became clear that the depth and the horizontal extent and the significance of the archaeological site there was more. To put that in context, this site is older than the pyramids in Egypt. The site is older, or as old, as some of the very first cities ever built in Mesopotamia, and yet very little is known.
The NSA broke into my Signal account, which I didn't know they could do.
How do you know the NSA broke into your Signal?
Because they admitted it. I got a call from somebody in Washington. This person said, are you going to come to Washington anytime soon? Yeah, actually, I'm going to be up in a week. Meet me Sunday morning. So I go, and this person's like, are you planning a trip to go see Putin? And I was like, how would you know that? I haven't told anybody. I mean, anybody. Not my brother, not my wife, nobody. How would you know that? Because NSA pulled your text with this other person you were texting. How did you know that?
Even if you don't think you're being tracked online, you are. Your internet service provider can see everything you do. Well, there probably isn't a guy sitting in a corner office watching your every move. Many ISPs do compile anonymous browsing logs and sometimes sell them to advertising companies. Now more than ever, is it important to protect your data online. That's why we use private internet access. With private internet access, you can safeguard all your online activity with military-grade encryption, protecting you from hacks, governments, and even your own internet provider. Plus, they have a strict no-logs policy, which means they don't track or store any of your browsing history, so your privacy stays private. One click and you're protected, no complicated setup required. That's why we are self-use private internet access for everything we do online. Get 83% off and 4 months free using our link for a limited time. You can click the link in the description to try it out today.
There's this frequency called IEEE 802.15.6. This wireless network, it is a short-range wireless communications in the vicinity of or inside a human body, but not limited to humans. It uses existing industrial, scientific, medical bands as well as frequency bands. You can connect to the human body using frequencies that is already out here. Now, if you wanted to take it a step further, people have made the arguments of advanced algorithms are the reason why you get so much specific targeted ads, or maybe your microphone is recording you secretly. I have reason to believe that these frequency machines are somehow able to penetrate your mind to such a degree and is able to feed you based on your thought pattern. Now that sounds super advanced. Well, it is. The network itself, the IEEE numbers, already affects frequencies can still communicate with your body. It's connecting to you like how we connect to Wi-Fi. Reading the signals from your body.
This is the Integrated Cyber Center. ABC News, the first network permitted to take cameras into one of the most sensitive and secret rooms on the planet.
This is military, civilian, contractor, this is Department of Defense, this is intelligence community, this is other agencies of our government. They're all resident here and working side by side.
And unlimited reach, unlimited.
General Paul Nakasone oversees the world's most powerful electronic spy agency, the NSA.
I did want to show you just kind of the layout here, if you don't mind.
Sure, please.
This room is the nerve center of the NSA and U.S. Cyber Command, agencies supercharged with the world's most advanced spyware and the most creative hackers.
In cyberspace, the advantage goes to those that have speed and agility.
We conducted our interview in what's known as the Battle Bridge, the place the general goes to oversee crises.
If you take a look out the windows, that's our floor. That's where we just were.
With cyber threats spiking, Nakasone says he's seeking to have his agencies evolve, increasingly pushing them to step out of the shadows and to engage more not only with other federal agencies, but private sector partners as well.
This is hard to believe, as scientists have found a dystopian, possibly dangerous, futuristic society multiplying on a nearby planet, and many are fearing what they're getting ready to do to us. News reports were calling a red warning as headlines were showing that NASA, using the James Webb Telescope, found light patterns to look like eerie bright city lights on another planet, and many were scared as this city might be way more complex and advanced than we could ever imagine. Citizens were terrified when reports were saying that these lights could be a result of incredibly smart extraterrestrial civilizations or terrifying aliens that far exceed anything we can do. The planet is named Proxima b, and news claimed that not only do they believe this is the first proof and real sign of intelligent life in space, but it's actually very close to us, with some saying whatever is there is likely watching us too. But it is important to note the James Webb Telescope has been reported to have the ability to detect light clusters in space, but right now is not considered operational yet. The images we see of light clusters on a planet is just a render of what the telescope could catch, so don't believe all the headlines and rumors just yet.
So you've heard about the problems with Boeing's airplanes, but have you heard about their spaceship? Yeah, that's right. Boeing's trying to make a spaceship too, and they're having tons of problems. The Starliner program is already running years behind schedule, primarily due to problems with the spacecraft's software, parachutes, and propulsion system. They were trying to get a test flight going 5 years ago. And then last year, just a couple months before it was supposed to launch a crewed test flight, they discovered that it had problems with its parachutes and that Boeing had installed flammable tape inside the capsule's cockpit. They were about to try another manned test flight on May 6th, and then they halted the countdown because they had a valve leaking. While they were checking out the helium leak of this valve, they discovered a whole other problem with the propulsion system that would make it so that in the wrong scenario, they wouldn't be able to fly back down to Earth and they would just float off into space. Whoopsies. They fixed that. Don't worry. It's going to be fine. But they decided that the helium leak would be too costly and time consuming to fix. And it's not really a big deal. So they're just going to fly with it anyway. This is for real. They say, quote, "It's not a safety of flight issue." Even if the seal completely blows out and we had just metal to metal contact, we know that we can manage this. So this is really not a safety of flight issue for ourselves. And we believe that we have a well understood condition that we can manage. Yeah, I'm sure the Boeing astronauts feel great about that idea. All this while 2 Boeing whistleblowers kick the can and 10 more are coming forwards with serious issues. Hopefully the doors don't fall off of their spaceship mid-space flight. Besides, I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of what went wrong with that door and all that. Except evidence seems to keep on just disappearing.
The plane's cockpit voice recorder was inadvertently taped over at the time of the incident.
I made a video not too long ago talking about how animals in the ocean have been acting strange by huddling up or beaching themselves, and a lot of you wanted me to go over the Leviathan. Now, I've talked about this before, but in this video I'll go into more details about prophecies surrounding this creature and why some people believe that it plays a role in the strange behavior of our marine life. Now, the theories about Leviathan initially began back in 2020 when we were told that the ice in Antarctica was melting and revealing 300-mile-long ancient rivers underneath it. Around the same time, there were a lot of strange events happening in our waters, like multiple ocean fires and the US military testing 40-ton in the middle of the ocean as well. Fast forwarding to this year, there was a huge anomaly caught on radar coming from Antarctica, and while we were initially told that this was just a glitch, the anomaly ended up coming back and even changing shapes, which led multiple people to believe that this wasn't a glitch at all. This strange series of events led to multiple theories that a creature known as Leviathan was trapped in the ancient rivers of Antarctica but separated from our oceans by the Arctic ice. But once that ice melted, it was freed into our waters, prompting military preparation and disturbing our ocean's wildlife in the process. For those of you who may not know, Leviathan is a sea creature spoken about in the Bible and given very specific characteristics. The creature is said to have almost impenetrable scales, produce so much heat that the water around it boils, and is 300 miles long, which just so happens to be the same length as the ancient river that was discovered under Antarctica. And although it isn't mentioned by name, some people believe that it is one of the beasts that rises up in the book of Revelation before being slain by God in end-time prophecy.
Here are a list of all of the movies the Pentagon oversaw and contracted with Hollywood on. For those who don't know, the Pentagon has a Department of Defense Entertainment Media Office. From their website, the DoD Entertainment Media Office supports studios, production companies, producers, directors, etc. in the production of both scripted and unscripted films. According to the documentary Theaters of War, the US DoD does not just subtly influence Hollywood's depiction of U.S. wars to present them in a more favorable light. The Pentagon actively demands script oversight and dictates storylines. In practice, it has been waging a full-spectrum propaganda war on Western audiences. Pentagon's objections usually relate to any suggestion of military incompetence or war crimes. Back in 2013, Dr. Stephen Underhill of Marshall University filed with the Freedom for Information Act to obtain all of the movies that the Pentagon has supervised on. Some of them were surprising. I'm going to list them page by page. Feel free to take screenshots.
Well, seems our weather now comes with a date, as in an actual date made out of giant radar letters situated near the undefined Marshall Islands in the North Pacific. Using a landmass for reference, my estimate is these numbers are 50 to 80 kilometers high at least. Looks like they're sitting in a big pixelated Pac-Man kind of shape. Now, this is on ventusky.com, you know, home of the blob, which, by the way, led to them pulling that model altogether. They said that was a glitch, so maybe this is a glitch too, right? Here's about where it is, and here's an island to give you an idea of how giant these numbers are. It clearly says 2024-05. May 2024. This expiration date was here at least from Tuesday, May 28th, but it does seem to expire today on May 31st. Do you think we might be trying to send a signal to something far, far away? Nah, I don't think so. But I really look forward to hearing what you all make of this.
Rihanna explained how she was threatened to sign her contract with Jay-Z.
We signed it that night. We didn't let her leave the office. Really? 3 a.m. was when that contract got signed. So from the meeting around 3, 4 in the afternoon, we signed it by 3 a.m. Wow. That day, I was absolutely certain.
How often does that happen? I mean, that's
not often.
That's unheard of, right?
That's not, yeah. I mean, to get lawyers to draft up contracts and then the other side to agree to contracts in 10 hours that's...
So now I'm going to go ahead and roll you guys this clip of Rihanna talking about being threatened to sign her recording contract with Jay-Z. And you guys let me know what you guys think about all this.
Major famous politicians throughout history, kings, queens, many great scientists have all been secretly practicing various forms of magical ritual and invoking and summoning the spirits of stars and planets into a magical temple. Say, for example, Queen Elizabeth II, who is the grand patroness of World International Freemasonry, or, you know, her ancestors, such as Queen Elizabeth I, who employed magicians such as John Dee. It sounds weird. It sounds crazy. Many people passed magical ritual out of hand as being unscientific. But the greatest scientific minds of recent generations, such as Sir Isaac Newton, took magic very, very seriously. In actual fact, magic is the root of all modern science. Now, there was a book published in the 1800s called The Celestial Intelligencer, and that is a sort of form of a grimoire. A grimoire is a magical textbook, and there are many grimoires, and many of them have their roots in Kabbalistic and pre-Kabbalistic traditions of magic from ancient Israel and Palestine.
There have been many pictures and videos that have came to light recently from Anne Long County in